It gives me great pleasure to be able to speak with a person who has been at the forefront of putting forward his thoughts very, very candidly, measured in his approach. He's editor Thuglak. He is co-convener of the Swadeshi Jagran Manch. He's an RSS ideologue, but a thinker and, of course, someone whose heart beats for Bharat. S. Gurumurthy, sir, namaskaram. Thank you for joining us on this very candid conversation.
Thank you so much. Only one modification. I am no ideologue of RSS. RSS has not appointed me as an ideologue. It is media that has. Now
all right.
Go ahead.
So that objection noted. But let me first ask you this: were the Cholas Hindus or not? That's the latest conversation that is happening about Hindu Itihasa. So let's start from there, Gurumurthy sir.
Sir, I feel, in fact, I felt it is, it's a pity that such a discourse is taking place. And I would not like to get involved unless there are some very substantial people talking about it. Rabble-rousers and people who want to catch a day's headlines, I don't want to get involved with them.
You are putting Kamala Hassan in the rabble-rouser and want to capture the day's headline bracket now?
Obviously, because he is in politics. Most politicians have a tendency to do that.
But this tendency seems, do you not believe it's on the rise? Hindu bashing and as you would to say as Hindu misya. That means a certain underlying hate for anything that has got to do with Hinduism.
See, there is a historical background to this. For example, there is a complete alignment between India and Hinduism. This is being denied in the contemporary politics. But I will tell you how Mahatma Gandhi viewed it. In 1909, when he wrote the Hind Swaraj, he defined India's unity, integrity, and the relationship between people only in terms of the Char Dhams and the different places of worship and in terms of Ganga, which united the people of India in a manner in which no two Englishmen are united. This is what Mahatma Gandhi said. And this book was banned till 1938 and Mahatma Gandhi refused to change his views. Even in 1940, he said, I don't want to change a comma or full stop on this. So the definition of India that Mahatma Gandhi had in mind when he was asked a question, how do you say India is one country? It is only the post office and railway stations which have brought India together. To which Mahatma Gandhi replies that India was one. Even without any of these things, people were traveling in millions from one place of worship to the other. And this was fundamental to Mahatma Gandhi's thinking. Second, in 1935, Jawaharlal Nehru wrote the Glimpses of World History and in page 842, if I remember right, he wrote that there is very little thin difference between Hinduism and India and Hindu nationalism and Indian nationalism. And Swami Vivekananda's concept of Hindu nationalism was not against anyone. And Jawaharlal Nehru accepted it. This was the discourse at that time. Even a communist like Rajani Palme Dutt, who wrote the India Today, a book titled India Today in 1939, he said that the British think that only because of English education, Indians got the spirit of freedom to fight against them. But even if there had been no English education, English people had been there, we would have got the same spirit from the isolated Veda Padashalas and from our Vedas and Upanishads. This was the debate. But all this changed when Jinnah passed the resolution for Pakistan in 1940, when everybody began running away from Hinduism, the Hindu character of India. Has politics changed or the Indian character has changed? So post independence, things became worse when Jawaharlal Nehru said that there is no communalism in India, it is only Hindu communalism. It's far more dangerous than the aggressive Muslim communalism. A Prime Minister of India who was a towering personality in and outside India, who was looked upon by crores and crores of Indians, he branded Hinduism as a sectarian idea, whereas till 1940 that was regarded as the soul of India. So the entire liberal, secular, vote-hungry, vote-bank politics has to deny the Hindu character of India. And there was now the discourse started by some people is that there was never anything called Hinduism.
Correct. So you've laid the foundations as historically how the narrative changed, but who allowed this narrative to change? Because this narrative also started changing in Tamil Nadu around the 50s and the 60s, and it continues, and it seems to be so distorted that from political platforms today Hinduism is bashed.
That is another, you see, Hinduism was always bashed. When was it not bashed? The only thing is the bashing has become news today because there is a Hindu viewpoint which is becoming increasingly dominant. And it is being opposed not only from within India but also outside India.
Yeah.
And it disturbs the status quo on which the intellectual, educational and media foundations of India have rested for the last 60 years. Many people are becoming intellectually unemployed. So there is a more powerful attack on the Hindu character of India. The Hindu character of India is not theological, it is philosophical.
Yes.
People do need to differentiate between theology and philosophy. So philosophy is something which accepts the other person's viewpoint and says it needs to be considered. Theology says it is only right, the other view is wrong. India had never such a system of thought. We always discussed our differences. We had the Tarka Shastra. We had what is known as the Purva Paksha.
Yes.
The only thing is, before we criticize the other person's viewpoint, we must study the other person's viewpoint and criticize it. And the other person can also do the same thing. Then both of them can agree or disagree. Because of that, India never faced street violence. If you want evidence for it, you look to Professor R.J. Ramal's 30-year research. He was Hawaii University professor. He built a huge website called Power Kills, in which he brought together all the mass killings that have taken place all over the world, in which he said till the 13th century there was no mass killing in India, whereas in the rest of the world for 2,500 years, the total mass killings ranged between 680 million to 1.2 billion. Why was such a killing not taking place in India? Because we had a philosophical attitude to others' viewpoint. There may have been exceptions here and there, but there was no general rule of regarding the other viewpoint as wrong. In that sense today, the most intolerant ideology is of the liberals. You know one thing? Because of my tikka, it is sufficient for the liberals to call me communal, narrow-minded, bigot. This is one thing is sufficient. No quality is needed because it is the dress, it is the language, it is the company, it is what you hold in your hand, whether it is some fruit juice or whiskey, that decides the discourse today.
But if that is the case, Mr. Gurumurthy sir, then if you are liberal, then they should be open to you wearing a tikka. Why should they cancel you out? Why should there be concerted effort to dismantle global Hindutva?
Sir, they are not liberal. They have an agenda. They have a target. They have an enemy. They have to deny all traditions of India. Otherwise, they are not liberal. Anyone who follows the tradition of India is not liberal. And we have to carry on this debate because the people of India are different. It is the liberals were being promoted by the establishment. The establishment consisted of course, the government and all the institutions that were being funded by the government and from outside India, and also the media. You know, when we founded the Vivekananda International Foundation in Delhi, you must have heard about it.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Rajiv Doval was the person who built it. He laid the intellectual foundation for it. You know, the first thing that we put in the trust deed is that we will not accept any foreign donation. You know, that is how a nation ceases to think for itself.
Correct.
So there is no India-centric think tank in India. So we wanted to institute an India-centric think tank. When? 60 years after India's freedom. So you can understand the extent to which India had been impoverished of its own alignment with its soul.
Yeah.
So we have to face it. I am not worried about these liberals and these ultra-seculars and these great people who say we need to have a world view. No American has a world view. He has only an American view. Maybe it is some European countries which have lost their way and have begun thinking of some European way. Every country thinks for itself, and on that basis it has a world view. Correct. Only in India, the liberals have a world view which has nothing to do with the Indian view.
So how do we get this Indian view, Gurumurthy sir? Especially at a time where in Tamil Nadu there is resistance to a Rashtra Bhasha or a link language in Hindi. In Karnataka there is this entire language. You just don't want to be connected, you want to be divided.
Things. You see, I have no, because I have been in Tamil Nadu, I have faced the worst period in Tamil Nadu in 1960s and 70s.
Yes.
The entire Hindu pantheon of gods have been belittled and almost driven away from Tamil Nadu. There used to be hardly 100 people in temples. I have seen that. I have been part of it. Polity and society were completely anti-Hindu. Today, the society has completely changed. You see, India is probably the most Hinduized state in this country. Politics has remained the same because there is no political initiative to align a changed society with the new politics that has to emerge. So it is the inadequacy of politics to align itself with the state, and that is why when DMK ministers are talking against Hinduism, their wives, their mothers, their sisters, their children are all going to temple. They are participating in yajnas openly. So Tamil Nadu has changed. In fact, Tamil Nadu is not the same as it was in 1950s, 60s, 70s. It's over. In fact, the Dravidian ideology is on its last leg. I mean, as a person who has been viewing politics and have played political games at the highest level in India and in Tamil Nadu, I can assure you, Tamil Nadu is, the Dravidian ideology is like a pack of cards.
Yeah.
It is sustaining itself only on lung power.
So you're saying its days are numbered. So who's going to fill that void, and what is the alternative that's going to come?
Completely. You see, I am in politics, what alternative, even they may change. For example, no Dravidian party is Dravidian party today.
Correct.
Except the name, except the label. Like the Congress. The Congress is no more the Congress of the pre-independence days. It's a label. So the qualitative change can come from within the Dravidian parties. As it shows, the ADMK is a qualitative change within the Dravidian movement, which accepted gods, not only gods, but Hindu gods, Hindu worship.
Yeah.
So a qualitative change came from within. But that does not mean that it will be an honest politics or it will be a clean government. That's a different thing. That's far, far away. I am only talking about the alignment between the state under the Tamil Nadu state politics and the Tamil Nadu society. So my understanding is The society has gone and changed far, far, far ahead, and the politicians are running to catch it. Of course, there are some fringe voices here and there which will keep shouting, because they are being sustained by funds from abroad, funds from here. They are being sustained by anti-national forces which are funding them. It's all very well known.
Right.
So I am not worried about Tamil Nadu politics.
Gurumurthy sir, I have limited time with you, but I have 3 questions coming your way, and the next 5 minutes that I have in this interview. My first question is, should the government work actively to free Hindu temples? The HRNC Act is a bane on pushing Hindu traditions, because temple economy or temple was the center of our cultural progress and of course dissemination of Vedic knowledge and ancient knowledge. Do you believe it's high time that the government considers this?
Yes, I entirely agree the government should get out of the temples, and a secular government has no business to manage or own temples or temple funds or decide what should be the essential worship models. But the Hindu mind had been for a long time thinking government owns the temples. So it also needs a preparation to manage, to enable the Hindu society to manage the temples. I think it will be a calibrated process by which it will happen. 5 to 10 years should be the target by which it has to be done.
The next question is on PFI. It believes it's the Muslim RSS. So if they should be banned for what they have been doing, the RSS should also be banned.
You see, this is a very ridiculous issue. The PFI was founded by the people who left Simi, and the people who formed Simi were the people who left ISS, that is Islamic Sevak Sangh. And all these have a train of terror actions. So their idea is not to work for just Muslims. I mean, there are organizations which are working for Muslims. But their idea is to break India. But the RSS was founded by a patriot. He went to jail. He was part of the Congress. And he made RSS an apolitical organization, and he himself resigned as the president of RSS to participate in the freedom movement.
Yes.
He kept the RSS out because he addressed the question, what would happen to India after we got freedom? Because when we lost freedom, it was because of our lack of unity. So he wanted to create Hindu unity as the backbone of India. These two are two different paradigms.
Very well explained, Gurumurthy sir. My final question, is there an India view which needs to be told to the world? Is Mr. Subramaniam Jayashankar in the right direction? And how do we develop this India view?
The India view is of 2 or 3 packages. One is the cultural, spiritual and traditional view of India, which has mesmerized and surprised the world as to how this country, which has the largest diversity, if you put it on the one side, even as compared to the world, is remaining united. And this has always remained united. This is the soul of India. Unless you recognize the soul of India, you cannot develop an Indian view. On this, that we have a duty to tell the world that you cannot have divisive thoughts, say only your religion is right, or only your thought is right, or only your language is right. This kind of thing is exclusive and you are making it universal. This is wrong. To tell this Indian view is needed abroad. And to align the two, we have to fight with people who think that there is no Indian view in India. All views are only imported from outside. So there are 3 dimensions to the Indian view. One is the homegrown thought from Mahatma Gandhi to Savarkar, to Aurobindo, to Vivekananda, to Rajni Palme Dutt and Jawaharlal Nehru. All of them agree on the Hindu character of India. They may not agree on the Hindu character of politics. That's a different thing. So I think we have a long way to go to get out of the past mess. created by politics.
Very well said, Gurumurthy sir. Time is of essence or paucity this time, but you have now compelled me to make that air dash to Chennai and get you to sit with me in person so that we can have a longer conversation. I really look forward to that. Always a pleasure. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is the first time I am talking to you. I feel very happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Namaskaram.